So, well, I hate it when, okay, well, yeah, the light's better there now. So anyway, I thought I would talk about the van life experience or the van experience, and also talk about the fact that there are, the van life experience will be different for everybody, especially so depending on your economic situation and your, see, economics, and I would say, let's see, and your race. And I know that a lot of people may not think that that would affect your van life experience, but I think we can all agree now that America is very racist. I mean, seriously, I mean, really? Come on now. And you have to admit that I think racism has come to the forefront more so because it's being accepted in the highest government of America. You know, the highest person in America has made racism acceptable, I guess, or okay, or validated, or whatever label you want to put on it. But anyway, so I think that your van life experience is based on, first of all, your race, and second of all, your economic income, economic level. And so we'll start at the bottom. At the very bottom is the person who is living in their van because they've gotten thrown out of their home, or they've lost their home or their apartment, or they were staying with a relative and can't stay there anymore. That person's experience is pretty much, I would say, at the scavenger level. You're basically scraping by, trying to make a living, or trying to survive. Right? Your survival. It's all about survival at that level. You know, your day-to-day experience is about survival. It's about having gas. It's about having food. It's about being able to stay someplace without being bothered by the police. It's about keeping your car, legal in order to have it be out on the road. I mean, there's a lot of issues when it comes to being at that economic level, and so after that, the second level is the person who is not too far from the base level. Is the person who maybe still sees it coming, sees it coming, as far as they see that they're going to lose their job, they see that they're going to lose their house, they see that that their economic situation is going to change, and they have to pretty much make that desperate move before it happens. And that's where I was in Idaho. The first time I lived in my van, I realized that I think about 2 years before before my son graduated from high school, I realized that, things were getting pretty bad, and I was not going to be able to stay in the apartment that I was in without child support, although I was working. And I knew also that I was not going to be able to come up with first, last, security deposit, and all of that. And first, I checked into it and found out that for some reason, I guess they were running a promotion when I first moved into the apartment 15 years earlier. They were running a promotion for the apartments because it was a new development, and they were trying to get people in there, and they did not charge me security deposit. I think, no, actually, did they? Yeah, I don't think they charged me security deposit, or maybe first and last. Maybe I just pay my first month's rent. Anyway, I spoke with my my manager and found out that I had no security deposit and no first and last. So that left me in a bad situation. So 2 years before that, I had asked my ex-husband if I could carry my son on my income tax return, which I figured, well, whatever money I got, the last year, I figured out whatever money I got, I could, pay first and last and security deposit to get into a smaller place, to get into some place, right? And he said no. I asked him the second year, or the last year before my son would have graduated and I get income tax. And he said no, which is fine, anyway, which is fine. So, I think my son's birthday is it's March 14th, and he's going to turn 18. And it happens to be my ex-husband's week to have him during his birthday. So his birthday, so he went to his dad's house, and it was getting close to my week to come, and I had already started cleaning the house, getting rid of stuff, and I asked him, I knew I wasn't going to be done, and it was really hard to try to do that with him there, because it made me sad. It already made me sad going through our life. It made me sad going through 15 years of our life together in that apartment. And anyway, so I asked my ex-husband to keep him, and because I knew by the time he got back I wouldn't have a place for him to come to. So he kept him, and I hurried up and cleaned out the whole apartment and got rid of stuff, and scrubbed down the walls, scrubbed the carpets, scrubbed the bathrooms. It was an amazing. I fortunately managed to do quite the, like scrub down the doors, replaced, because I don't like light fixtures. I don't know why. I don't like light fixtures, because it kind of puts like a dark cast on the room. So I've got this thing about light. But anyway, so I had to put up all the light fixtures, made sure all the bulbs were replaced, made sure all the batteries were in, all the fire alarms. I let my son put stickers on his windows, and I had to get those stickers off and move the glue. I cleaned all the blinds, cleaned all the windows, cleaned all the seals. I mean, it was a lot. Fortunately, at the time, there was this lady that I worked with at the who was also a school bus driver with me, and she helped me, and she helped me in that all the stuff that I was getting rid of, and I was getting rid of some really nice stuff, because I had some stuff from both my marriage and stuff that I could afford to buy when I first got divorced and got the settlement to kind of make house for me and my son. So anyway, she kept what she felt that she could resell, and then donated the rest to the Salvation Army or wherever she donated it to. But there's a chair I remember I had that my ex-husband had. I needed some money one time. I was short on money, and I asked him, if he could loan me the money, or, and he said, well, he says, you can, if you give me that chair. He had the other chair of it. No, I had the two matching sets. It was these two really nice, big, comfy chairs, and he told me, he says, well, if you give me the two chairs, I'll loan you the money, or I'll give you the money. And I said, and the funniest thing is, those two chairs were the only chairs I had in the house. So I was like, I said, my goodness, if I give you the chairs, then, Hunter won't have anywhere to sit, in the living room. That's my son. And he said, oh, okay. I said, well, how about I give you one? Because one of the chairs I had by the window, and I had a dog at the time, two dogs actually, and they would like to put their paws on the arm, and like whenever somebody went by, they were always like scratching on it and barking, so anyway, so I told him, I said, this chair is kind of damaged. Why don't you take the other one, and in exchange? And he said, okay. I guess he felt bad. So he took one of the chairs, and I still had the other one left. So I cleaned that up and asked him if he wanted it. Basically all he'd have to do is take it to a furniture maker, and they could probably darn the yarn back and get the chair back to normal. And so I ended up giving him that chair back because I figured, rather keep it in the set than, donate it. But, so yeah, so that's the second type of van dweller. I think they're probably, and we're going to see this as life progresses. We are going to see a lot of single mothers, especially those who can't get on welfare. We're going to see a lot of single mothers go through homelessness. I guess I was fortunate. I did get child support, but towards the ending, both child support and my working was not enough to keep an apartment or keep any kind of a rental. But so yeah, so I basically just touched on two types of van dwellers, and maybe I'll talk about the others later. But so all I'm saying is our society is pretty much now geared towards the possibility that van dwelling might be in your future. My thing is, I would much rather be a van dweller than a crash and burn, get on drugs, and basically, because that's what happens. I think people get desperate and turn to drugs rather, because I guess this is such a, for, depending on how you're raised and depending on the income level and depending on how you were taught, this is such a low level of existence compared to living in a house. Even now, I have an aunt who lives out here too, and she was telling me that I need to get an apartment. I need to, because it's unsafe out here, I need to get an apartment, blah, blah, blah. And, if I could find an apartment this size, I would rent it. I've always liked the idea of SRO, single residence occupancies. And I know Asia has a lot of them, and there are some in this state, but like the ones in Asia, I love because they're really, really small. They're about this tall, and maybe about this size, half this size. And I like that idea, of living in that space, because to me, this is, with my lifestyle, not now, this is manageable. I can manage, we're getting some really, there we go. Anyway, so I'll keep my arm up here. But with this lifestyle now, I can manage cleaning up. I can manage straightening up, when you think about it, I'm never ever in my van, because I'm working. I might start work at 6 and go until 10, and normally where my van is parked, I can't get to it. And I have a split shift, right? So my car is normally parked far away from where my van is, so therefore I have to hang out at work. So I hang out at work until, until about, I probably finally get back to my car around, around maybe 8, 7, 8, right? And so I'm never in my car. I'm never in my van. And when I get home, I have to hurry up and get everything straightened out because I don't have time to do a lot of cleaning, and if I want to get any sleep, right? So this works out perfect for me, and I'm not sure how it works out for other people, but this is working out for me.